Welcome to Haverchat, a leadership podcast where we explore the principles, stories, and people that shape great leadership. Hello, everyone. I am Todd Wiesenberg, the Chief Culture Officer here at Haverkamp Group. And today we're going to have a discussion on the roles leaders play in creating and shaping purpose and vision. Today, our guests are Brent Haverkamp, the founder and CEO of Haverkamp Group, and Zack, the Chief Operating Officer for Haverkamp Construction. Gentlemen, thanks for being here today.
Thanks, Todd.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. So today's conversation, we're going to be talking about the purpose and passion statement for Haverkamp, which is creating communities where people love to live. And we're going to be talking about vision, specifically the 30 by 35 vision. By the time this episode airs, we will have traveled and had our quarterly meetings across the company where, Brent, you'll be talking about this. So this episode, we are going to be talking about the why, a little bit about the how, and what this will all demand of us. So let's start with the why. And Brent, when we say, or you say, you hear creating communities where people love to live, what goes through your mind?
I think it's kind of ironic, Todd. We've had that purpose statement around for Haverkamp properties for some time. Mm-hmm. And I think really in the last year, it just hit me about how unifying that statement is for our company. And as we've grown, we're a pretty broad-based company now. We do investment, construction, development, management, ownership. But that phrase of creating communities where people love to live really brings together the whole company. And really with the 30 by 35, I'm really kind of focusing on that front end of that statement about creating communities. Mm-hmm. And it's just really interesting how it almost has a double meaning between what construction thinks of when they think about creating communities and what property management thinks of. And so I just really like that statement and how it unifies us as a company.
Okay, can we unpack that statement where kind of the double meaning, what it means to construction and what it means to property management? Yeah. Unpack
and so
that.
I think, and Zack can talk about this in a little bit, but when he thinks about creating a community, he thinks about birthing it. Okay, how do I take this bare, is that okay for me to say birthing? Yeah. So, how do I take this bare piece of ground and conceptualize a project and, make it real? And I think when property management thinks about creating a community, they often think about, how do I take this community and create the culture and make it into a community where people love to live here. And so Zack thinks about the same thing, but he thinks about it from a conceptual perspective. Mm-hmm. And I think the property management side, they think about what is and how do we create that community into what people love to live. And so I just think it's such a neat thing to bring our development construction teams and our property management teams and our, the people that raise investments for us all together around the same idea.
Gotcha. We're going to come back to you, and I'm going to ask for a story.
Yeah.
All right. But before that, we get to that, Zack, I'm just curious, when you hear that phrase, from your lens, creating communities where people love to live. Yeah, what goes through your mind?
Kind of comes right along the lines of what Brent was saying and how I think of it as the physical side of things with the buildings and the driveways and all the physical things we build to make it happen. But there's also the relational side of things with the property management people do. And I kind of see it as building the buildings is giving them, in the clubhouse and amenity spaces are giving them the tools to create the greater community of where a group of people come together and enjoy living there. Often we ask ourselves as we put it together, is this a place that I would want to live? If putting ourselves in the residents' shoes. And I think that if we can just ask ourselves that and let that carry through, that takes us a long ways in creating the communities where people will love to live.
Yeah, that's a great lens to look through. Would I want to live here, or would I want a family member to live here? So that's a great perspective. Brent, I'd like to have a little bit of story time, if you will. Was there a moment early in the early days of your journey that really shaped what this creating communities where people love to live, what that really meant to you?
Yeah. And so, Todd, if you'd let me get in the Wayback Machine and
Go for it.
Take us way back. And really, I think Zach's question really, prompted this thought. And he said, where would I want to live? And so I'm going to go in the Wayback Machine and all the way back to right after Tori and I first got married. And so we had just graduated from college and we didn't have very much money. We certainly didn't have very much knowledge and we didn't have very much income, but we wanted a place to live.
And you had love.
Yes, we had love, but we wanted a place to live. And really, we surveyed the entire Ames market and there just wasn't much. And so we ended up, and really all we could afford is this rundown 2-bedroom house in Campus Town and 2-bedroom, 1-bath and home. And I think it was like $42,000. And so we bought the home and it was gross. It had been rented to students for a long, long time. And we just proceeded to redo the home. And what did we want? Well, we wanted a home where we love to live. That was our whole goal at the time. And really, we spent about a year on that process. So when the house across the street went up for sale, that was so fresh in my mind. I said, I took this rundown home, but we created it into an attractional place where we love to live there. And I said to myself, can we take this rundown rental home and can we make it attractional for tenants? So that's exactly what I did. We bought this 100-year-old home that was not in very good shape and we fixed kind of the main things of the home and we were able to make it attractional. We were able to make those tenants want to live there. And in fact, if my memory serves, we really, for like 2 or 3 years, we had the same group of tenants, that would just, 3 of the 5 would kind of roll over and then 2 of those 5 would roll over. And we were able to raise rents along the way. But I think that was my first early picture of kind of marrying this idea of investment, but the investment doesn't have any purpose unless your tenant really wants to be there. And so I was learning, Todd, what does it take to create a place where someone wants to be there, where they love to be there, where it's attractional for them. And that's how I got my start, was that first house that my wife and I bought that no one would say, I'd love to live here, but we made it into that. And then we took that first house and we said, how can we make that attractional? How can we make that the type of place where somebody loves to live here? And what was interesting about it, it wasn't expensive. And so realize it doesn't always have to be expensive or the top of the market to make it into a place where people love to live.
And now you've been doing that for 30 plus years.
Yes, that was 1991. So that was 35 years ago when we bought that first house and made it into a place where somebody will love to live there.
Nice. Zack, story time for you. When did that concept just really become real to you?
Yeah, I think I felt the shift a little bit, kind of mid 2000s. There was a period of time in Ames and probably Des Moines too, where there wasn't a lot of new development happening in construction. And if we provided a clean, safe place for people to live, it was pretty easy to rent it and fill it. And there kind of got to a point somewhere in the 2006, 2007, when we started doing nicer things and there was a bit more competition. I think we needed to provide something more. And there was a little bit, can't put my finger on what it was, but we started working harder to provide a better experience, but more than just putting a roof over somebody's head and making them feel safe. We wanted to create a better experience for them. So we started doing things like putting more emphasis on clubhouses and really thinking about, why are we building these apartments the way they are? Why are we designing these closets the way they are? Kind of really looking at the design and layout and asking the why. And trying to refine that and get better and better. And from there, it's kind of been a fun kind of taking it to all the extremes of providing really cool spaces for people that people really do enjoy and love living there. They have so many places to choose to live. Why would they want to? We want them to choose ours because it's the best, and we think they'll really love being there.
And Zack, you and I have worked closely together over the years, and most recently on the TiVo Trail projects. So what I hear you say is there's just kind of been this evolution.
It has been evolutionary.
It has been evolutionary. Yeah. So bring us to today when you think about, for an example, in a TiVo Trail project and what that means.
Yeah, so we built our first TiVo Trail in Waukee 5, 6, 7 years ago. And I'll never forget, we got it done. And it was a little bit of a rough getting across the finish line. It was February, it was -10. I think we were a little late in delivering the project. And these first group of renters were excited to get it. And frankly, we were excited to get them in because we'd been working on this project for so long. And somewhere along the line, the first couple of weeks of being there, this little nice old lady came up to me and just went on and on and on about how much she loved her apartment, loved living there, thanked us for building this place. She couldn't be more happy. She felt safe. It was clean. It was everything she wanted and more. And I had never experienced that with a tenant. You know, a lot of times in construction, we only hear about things when they're bad because there's a problem. You know, you built this place and it doesn't work. So we get involved to come in and fix it. Rarely do we get to come in and hear the positive stories because we're usually, by the time those come, we're on to the next thing. So the TiVos are really fun because the residents are so excited and they're there. And we spend a lot of time there being long construction projects, interacting with the residents and just seeing the joy that they have. And even their kids and family who come by and just say how much they love being there. And it kind of puts a new wind in the sails and gets us really excited to more than just provide housing. We're providing a real home for these people where they really love being there.
And again, I could tell some stories here too, but literally changing lives. And I don't use that as hyperbole because, you know, we've had conversations with some of our residents and of course I'm thinking specifically of a TiVo Trail where people have experienced maybe loneliness because they've lost a spouse and now they're in this community and it just makes a world of difference. So yeah, there's all kinds of stories like that. All right. Got to keep moving forward here. So, Brent, why unify purpose and passion across the organization now? What's happening that made this the right time?
Yeah. I think as the organization grows, sometimes tribalism can grow as well within that organization. So Zack, is going to be pretty concerned about construction and getting his job done. And Dave is going to be pretty concerned about property management and getting his job done. And as I reflected on this purpose statement, I said, oh, this is something that we can all get behind. And really, as we think about it, we manage 5,000 units. We have 10,000 tenants. And so what's our goal as the organization? Well, okay, we provide 10,000 people in Iowa with a home. And sometimes we gloss over that. But if we really reflect on that a little bit, home is a sacred place that, it's the place that we go to rest and recharge. And it's our place. Mm-hmm. And so we have the opportunity to provide those 10,000 people with a place that they love. And so that's a pretty high calling. And when the entire organization can get behind that idea of creating a community where somebody loves to live there, I think that's a unifying thing. Mm-hmm. And so as we grow as a company, I think we need this unifying statement to rally behind, to understand that all of us are moving the same way, pulling on the same rope, going in the same direction. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a pretty valuable thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It becomes that banner that we all fly under, and it's that rally point. So when difficult times do come, and they will, mm-hmm. that's what you rally behind. That's the banner. So Zack, from your seat, what does a unified purpose solve from your
Yeah.
perspective?
So I think about, as long as we've been doing construction, our goal has been to deliver a quality construction project on time and on budget. And if we do that, it's a success. And while that's true, I think there's more to it than that. And
Right.
as we look at design, the whole construction process, from design to site selection to design to construction to turning over, we want to create an experience for the resident or future resident all the way through that process. So thinking through everything from when they pull in the driveway to when they park their car and walk inside, what does that experience look like? And if we don't think through that, and that's not intentional, we can still deliver a good quality product on time and on budget, but we're kind of missing the point of that. So this unified mission statement, I think, just helps our construction team, our design team, everybody to kind of get behind the same purpose, the same drive that we want the ultimate end result to be.
This is a question for both of you, whoever wants to answer. Where have you felt tension when there was a lack of alignment when it came to purpose? Where have you felt tension before?
Sometimes there's a dichotomy between work. Well, let me back up. When we think about who our customer is, there's the resident in construction, or there's the ownership, and sometimes there's a bit of a dichotomy between the two, because both aren't always serve the same purpose. So I think having a unified mission statement helps us to align those a little bit, and obviously with proper stewardship, with not spending too much money, creating ultimately what makes the decision is creating a community where people love to live. If we can't decide what to do, that should be the determining factor of what we need to do.
Yeah. Do you want to expand on that?
Let me follow up on that.
Okay.
So sometimes we ask the question, well, are we going to do what's best for the tenant, or are we going to do what's best for the investor, for the owner? And really, I think our purpose statement solves that question for us. And if we create a community where our resident loves to live there, it's going to be the best for the resident and the best for the owner. And I think that's really an aligning purpose. And so as we go as property managers, as construction people, as owners, whatever it is, if we lead with that question, I think it's going to lead us down the right road to the right answer of that question, Todd.
Zack, I don't know if you can think of an example, but when purpose is operationalized, I don't know if that's a word or not, but when purpose is operationalized, how does it show up in your decision making?
A lot of times the construction team will kind of say, hey, what's good enough, or what's the bar? And we'll work in construction, we work with imperfect materials in an uncontrolled environment. So it's not like a manufactured good where you get to the end of an assembly line and everything can come out perfectly. So we often have to draw the line of, is this acceptable or is this not acceptable? So I think putting it into an operationalized system, I can kind of simply say, well, would you love to live here with this? Or what would you expect in your home? And we kind of make that the standard. That's the bar that we need to get to.
Whether that be with your own team or even your subs. I mean, is that
sure? For sure, yeah. Right.
Use that language with them. Okay, interesting. Brent, what are the non-negotiable behaviors that you would expect from the Haverkamp team, if you will, if we're going to be serious about this purpose?
Yeah, I think what I'm trying to do, Todd, is try to use that purpose statement as a filter for me. And I think it's a real healthy one for us. Sometimes we all get involved in our own little projects, but I try to almost every day ask myself the question, okay, this thing that I'm thinking about, does it help create a community where people love to live? Am I, with this project, am I creating a community where people love to live? And so I try to use that as a filter for me. And so I'm hopeful that if I start using that as a filter, then the people that I work with will start using that as a filter. And I'd love to see this kind of roll through. And as you know, we're doing a few things from a marketing perspective to try to cement this idea of this creating communities. And so I would love for people to start using that statement as a decision-making filter for them.
The statement, am I?
Yeah. Am I creating, by this action, by this decision, am I creating a community where people love to live? And I think that will help us go a long ways down the road.
Absolutely. I love that. Am I? All right, going to have that resonating in my head.
Yeah,
Zack, you want something to add?
We speak a lot about internally about speaking the same language,
Yes.
Through EOS. And I think if we're all using the same terminology, the same tagline, I think that's going to unify us a lot and
Absolutely.
talk about the same way.
Yeah, that's one of the key components of any culture is a shared language. And if we start sharing that language, am I creating a community where people love to live? That's a good lens to look through. All right, this is a question for both of you. When it comes to our organizational needs, where do we need to be the most, I would say, reliable? Is it going to be in people? Is it going to be in processes? Is it with partners? In order for us to execute and not drift away from this purpose, what's going to be key? Whoever wants to go first.
Yeah, I'll go first. I think we need to tell our story and live that out. So people in Central Iowa know us, but we can't accomplish this by staying in Central Iowa. So we need to take that outside of Central Iowa, and we know who we are. We've kind of proven it. So we need to be able to tell our story and get people to believe we are who we say we are, so they can believe in us. So that the things we say the things we say we're going to do, we do, and we meet the things we say we mean. Our underwriting is real. We're not trying to do things. We're not saying things that are unrealistic. That these are things we can really follow through with and do. And that if there's a project that we believe in, they should believe in it too, because we're not going to do something that we don't believe in.
Yeah, I love that. I'm going to tag right onto that. As I think about our investors, what's the most important thing? Well, it's really faith. You know what I mean? So do you have faith in us that you're willing to invest your dollars? And so how do you build that? Well, you tell your story. And so we have a couple of decades of investment history, and we need to tell that story about, hey, this is who we are. This is what we do, and come invest alongside of us. And, that's one of the things that we're trying to accomplish with this podcast.
Right.
Is, okay, we're going to tell our story. When we go to Omaha, we're going to work. It's a $90 million project. We're going to work with dozens and dozens of subs that we've never worked with before. And they're going to have to choose us. There's a lot of construction going on in Omaha, and they're going to have to choose us over working with another general. And so we got to tell our story, and we're going to say, hey, this is what we've done, and we've done it for a long time. And we're going to do it in a different place, and we're going to build a fantastic project with great people, and we're going to move on from there. And then we're going to tell our story to residents. We're going to say, here, look what we've built. And, there's a community here that you're going to love. You're going to love to be here. And you're going to love the lifestyle. You're going to love your neighbors. You're going to love this community, and it's going to change your life. And if we can start to do a great job of telling that story to all the different stakeholders. Today, Todd, we just did a new employee lunch, and you've spent all morning telling our story to our 6 new employees that started this month. And so if we do a great job of telling that story, the best and brightest of those are going to stay with us and be with us for a long time. And that's going to build a great organization of people that care, that's going to help us perpetuate and to tell that story again and again. And so that's Yeah, so I really like that. Zack, tell our story.
Even going into new markets, even as close as Omaha, people are a little skeptical.
Sure.
And rightly so, because there's a lot of pretenders out there. So I think we need to do the job of pulling the curtain back and showing people who we are and getting them to believe it so that they can get trust in us.
It goes over. So I think I talked to 8 or 9 banks to finance the Omaha project. And it was a size and a place that we hadn't done business before. And so it was a new relationship. And we ended up going with a bank out of Minneapolis that I never worked with before. But I had to tell my story. Hey, this is who we are, and this is what we've done, and we're going to be a great partner with you on this project. And I think everyone needs to do that, from our superintendents to our property managers. They need to tell the story of who we are. And that's why I think creating communities where people love to live is such a great start of the story for us to tell.
Going to go off script here a little bit, guys. All right. You're now speaking to a specific audience member. I want you to think about current employees, as you think through this, what would your message be to them? And then I'll give you a moment to think. And then Zack, I want you to think about future employees, because you're going to be growing your team. And so if we have somebody in the audience listening who's thinking about wanting to come work for Haverkamp Construction, what would your message be to them? So let's go with current employees.
Yeah, current employees. So I'm actually going to do this over the next couple of days, and we're going to meet with a majority of our 165 employees, and I'm going to talk a little bit about creating communities where people love to live, and I'm going to talk about 30 by 35, and I'm going to talk about how important it is to have a history and a future. And we as a company have a great history that roots us, but we have a great vision about what's going to carry us forward. And that's really important. If you're an employee with us, you want to be part of a growing company where you have a future. And so that company can grow and you can grow right alongside of it. And so, I'm going to talk about how important that is, Todd.
Awesome. Zack.
Yeah. New employees. I think there's a large runway ahead of us for growth. And obviously that comes with a lot of new employees, and new employees coming in they're coming into a company where the company is going to be growing from underneath of them. So an incredible amount of opportunity of growth, not of climbing the ladder, but new positions will be made, and we'll need strong leaders to fill those positions. And the opportunities that will come along with that for growth within their personal development will be pretty incredible. And I'm excited for that. I think, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but currently we deliver about 200 some units a year. In 10 years, we'll be delivering 1,000 units a year. Currently we have about 2 to 3 active projects a year. We have 12 to 14 active projects a year. So if you think about those kind of numbers, and all that comes along with construction and property management to fill those roles, there's an incredible amount of opportunity of different levels of management in between there that don't currently exist. So we're really excited about that. We're really excited about the potential that offers for, our current employees, but also employees that are coming on board in between now and then. Yeah. We're really excited for that opportunity for everybody.
Well, Brent mentioned that we had 6 new employees join us today for orientation. And one of those employees is coming from Omaha. And as I talked to him, basically, what was it that attracted you to this? And it's just what you talked about, the opportunity that he sees before him in this organization with all of this. And that was something that was exciting to him. And that's why he wanted to jump on board. So it's lived out right there, played out right there. All right, as we begin to wind down here and wrap up, what's one thing you would want every listener to take away about our purpose of creating communities where people love to live? Whoever wants to go first. What's one thing you'd want them to take away with?
To me, the exciting thing is to have a goal that the entire organization is striving for. And I would say, watch us grow. And so check in over time and watch us grow over this next decade. And let's see what we can do together at Haverkamp Group to create communities where people love to live.
Love it.
Yeah.
Zack.
Thinking about the purpose of creating communities where people love to live, I think probably most of us have lived somewhere that wasn't great and lived in an apartment at some point in our lives, or know someone who has, or has had a bad experience with a property management company. And we want to be different. We want to be the kind of company that is proud to own everything that we own, proud to manage everything that we manage, and distinguish ourselves from other just commodity apartment builders and property managers. So I think we're working hard to differentiate ourselves in the marketplace, and further, both in I touched on it earlier, but the physical piece of the communities, of the buildings, but the community, that the relational community that the property managers are building is perhaps the most important piece of this creating communities, above and beyond the building and construction and capital. It's really about the people that we're providing homes for, and that's where we want to stay focused on.
Yeah, there is something that's energizing when you walk into one of our communities. I'll just talk about the Emory in North Liberty, for example. One of the times I visited there, they had an event, and I was just blown away with how many residents were in there and how great a job Trevor and his team were doing, and just, building community there. And it was just like, this is exciting. This kind of energizes you. Like, this is why we do what we do. It's for things like this. Yeah.
Yeah. People have a choice of where they're going to live. And if we give them what they want, they're going to live with us, and they're going to pay more to do it. And it's going to be great for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Anything that you didn't say that you wish you had said? So this is your opportunity as we wrap up to say that thing that you wanted to say, but I didn't give you a chance to say.
You covered it all for me, Todd.
You're good?
Yep.
I got all my points in.
You got all your points in. Brent's good. Wow. I'm happy then. If you guys are happy, I'm happy. So, gentlemen, thank you again for sharing your insights. And I love what's happening here. I'm excited to see how things will unfold in the future. And I kind of love your challenge there, Brent, challenging listeners to check in with us over time and see how we're doing. I like that. And to our listeners, I want to thank you for joining us on Haverchat, a leadership podcast. We hope that today's conversation helps you better understand how leadership plays a key role in creating a purpose and casting a vision. Be sure to continue to follow Haverchat as we have more meaningful conversations with leaders who are making a difference each and every day. So until next time, keep leading with purpose.